Does the undermining effect also take place in real life? A lot of studies on the undermining effect or the effects of extrinsic rewards on intrinsic motivation rely on experiments. Also, DC's seminal study on the undermining effect relied mostly on experiments, in which he invited people to engage in an intrinsically motivating task, then rewarded them extrinsically, either by giving them money or by giving them verbal praise, such as compliments, and then seeing whether their intrinsic motivation remained at the same standards after removing again this extrinsic motivation. What is often found then is that extrinsic motivation decreases intrinsic motivation. Have you ever experienced this in real life? Maybe as a kid you liked reading, but not so much anymore when your teacher actually forced you to read and to present your reading in class. Or maybe as an employee, you liked helping others, but after a reward program being installed in which colleagues can actually reward them others financially for helping behavior, the helping behavior might have felt less genuine and you engaged in it far less. So let me tell you about my story about the undermining effect. I grew up in the northern part of Belgium on the countryside, and there I experienced that gardening is really a hobby of me. I like being out there in the sun, being physically active. So moving to Leuven to a small apartment was actually not such a nice experience. So when I moved to my house, which had a garden, I was really happy I could garden outside again. And the first day in summer, when it was nice weather, I actually started mowing my lawn and enjoying the physical activity. And I noticed that, I just had a very small lawn and a very small lawn mower, but my neighbor, he had a big lawn. And he didn't seem to use his lawn mower that much. Actually, he didn't seem enjoying gardening altogether. So one day I stepped up and stepped on his doorstep and said like, "Hi neighbor, my name is Anya and I like gardening a lot and I was wondering, I think you don't like it that much. So I would like to offer whether I could maybe mow your lawn." My neighbor was of course like very astonished and he said like, well, fine. So we ventured out to the garden and together we took out the lawnmower and the electric wires and we worked in the garden the whole afternoon in the sun. I really enjoyed the physical activity and the big lawnmower and whatsoever. So after I finished, my neighbor said like, well, I'm having some pizza with together with my children this evening. Would you like to join? What's more rewarding than after a hard day of work actually enjoy some pizza together with some friends? So I stayed and I really enjoyed the evening. What happens to grass? Well, grass grows. And a couple of weeks later, I stepped again on the doorstep of my neighbor saying like, "Hi, would it be okay if I mow your lawn again?" "Oh, yeah, yeah," he said, "that's fine." And he took me again outside, took the mower out of the shed, and I could give it a start. My neighbor was very busy, so he went back inside to do his work. Well, after a while, when I was almost finished, he brought me a drink and we enjoyed a nice little chat after I was finished with my work, and then I went home. What happens to grass? Well, it grows. And a couple of weeks later, again, I was there asking my neighbor, like, "Hey, would it be okay if I start working in the garden again?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah," he said, "that's fine. But really, really, I'm really, really busy. So I can't really help you, but I think you know the drill by now. Here are the keys. Please go ahead." So I took the keys, opened the shed, took the lawnmower, enjoyed the whole afternoon mowing the lawn and making everything fine again. When I was ready, I was going back inside and said to my neighbor, like, "Hey, I am finished. What do you think?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah," said my neighbor. "That's really great. Wonderful. Just put the keys on the table. I will put them away later on. See ya. I really am busy, so I'm sorry I don't have much more time now." So, wait a minute. The first time that I did his garden, that I mowed his lawn, I got pizza. The second time I got a drink. And the third time there was hardly ever time for a chat. Just guess what happened. Well, my neighbor had to mow his lawn himself the next summer. And actually, it was quite surprising after a few years to come back to this article also for this series and to see that DC actually had mowing lawns as an example of his undermining effect as well.